wondering what would be the single most valuable piece of advice you'd give us to even attempt to create some of the value that you guys have done in both your very impressive companies.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it, you got to have passion.
Welcome to this video, Dave, which is all about Forex trading basics, and a basic that most traders don't even consider when they come in to trade the Forex markets. And they lose. And it's basically having a realistic trading plan for profit, okay? And most traders, when they come in the markets, do not have a long-term plan. Okay, so I want to go through a long-term plan with realistic objectives, also how to operate your plan in the short term, and a daily routine for profit that will give you the maximum amount of profit in the least amount of time. But I'll come back to that in a moment. In terms of kicking off the video, I started off with Steve Jobs, and he's making a key point there about perseverance, having a passion for what you do. And any businessman who's successful will have tended to have made mistakes and have had to persevere until they obviously made money. And Steve Jobs had his hard times, and he actually said that you find that most so-called overnight successes were not overnight successes at all. There was work and preparation involved, mistakes along the way. Now, in terms of Forex trading, one of the big problems for newcomers when they come in the market is they just have completely unrealistic expectations of what they can make in terms of profit. And you see many traders aiming for 100% quickly, or 200%, or they want to make 1,000 into 20,000 in a short period of time. That is just not realistic. So let me just give you a realistic number, okay? And I'm going to give you one of the most wonderful advantages of trading Forex. Now, in terms of traders I've talked, they've all got varying profits that they've made, but I've seen a lot of traders do just around 60%, okay? And that is a really, really good profit to make. It really is. But when I say it to a lot of new traders, they just look kind of disappointed, like it's not enough. And I think this is where you have to think long term and think about one of the wonders of finance, really. It's compound growth. And if you actually think about compound growth and what you can achieve longer term, you can just see, if you're patient, how much money you can make. So let me give you an example. Let's say you had $10,000 and you compounded it at 58%, okay? In 10 years, how much money would you have? Well, you'd have $1 million. And what obviously happens with compound growth is, money makes money. It's a snowball effect. So sure, you have to be patient when you begin, but once you get moving, obviously compounding really kicks in. You can do it with any starting amount you like and see how much you've got in 5 years or 10 years, and the amounts are impressive. Now, in terms of compound growth, once you start making more money, okay, great advantage of Forex is you don't have to spend any more money. Other businesses do. They have to increase overheads or take on more staff. More effort has to be made. That isn't true in Forex trading. You don't have to make any more effort trading a $1,000 account than you do trading 50 or 100,000. The effort should be exactly the same. So if you're patient and you set a realistic target growth, and I think it takes a few months in the market to work out what your target growth can be, then you can see how much money you can make in Forex trading. And I'll stress it again, in Forex trading, it is a serious business, okay? So, you've got to have a plan. When I write business plans, I've got a few businesses, okay, or when I've written them in the past, they've normally been for 3 years forward minimum. And I think that's the way you've got to view Forex trading. It's not something you're going to gain overnight success in, or make yourself a millionaire. You've got to be patient. The gains are there to be made. Compound growth is just such a massive advantage. So I think you've got to set your annual target growth. And obviously I'm not going to talk about having a strategy in this video. I'm just talking about the planning side. I'm assuming that you've got a strategy already with a trading edge that you're confident in. Okay, if you haven't, we've got plenty of videos on strategies you can look at. But what I want to do next is, obviously we've got a long-term plan, okay, where we work out how much we're going to make per annum. But you've got to stay focused on it, and basically you've got to make sure that you do not deviate from your plan. Now, just before I discuss this, and also the daily routine for profit, which I think is highly effective, I just want to show a short clip of Will Smith. There's something in this clip that he says, I think, is very, very significant. It's only about a minute long, so just take a quick look at it, and then I'll be back in a moment.
One summer, his dad tore down a brick wall on the front of his business and told 12-year-old Will and his 9-year-old brother to rebuild it, a job they said was impossible. It took them a year and a half, but they did it.
And he said, now don't you ever tell me it's something that you can't do. You don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day. And soon you have a wall. And soon you have a wall.
I will come back after that short clip there from Will Smith. And obviously it reinforces what you can achieve in the long term and having the perseverance to carry on. But what I like about that clip is where Will Smith says, with each brick, you focus on laying that brick as perfectly as a brick could be laid. So you have a very high degree of concentration on what you're doing in the short term, and you do it to the best of your ability. Now, why is that important in Forex trading? Well, I think in Forex trading, you can have a long-term plan, but you're always going to be tempted to deviate from it. I think everyone is tempted to deviate from their plans because obviously your emotions come into play. So you mustn't lose that high degree of focus on basically not taking too much risk, going for realistic gains even in the short term. So what I'd recommend you do, and I mentioned in terms of profit potential, 60% was a great level to aim at per annum. I've seen people do 100%. It doesn't matter what you're aiming for. A year is a long way off, so break it down into quarters. So you're looking for 100% per annum, 25% per quarter. Then focus on that amount. Okay, it really will help you, because let's say you're trading and suddenly you make 10% on your account. I mean, that happens quite frequently. Okay, now if you're aiming for 25% in the quarter, what would you do? Well, I would take it, so I just bank it, and then basically go for the 15%. You've got done over half your objective. Now, I think in terms of Forex traders, they basically give back too much profits. Okay, they're never happy with what they have, and I think if you're working to an objective, you're just happy with what you have. You just want to reach that objective. It stops you, taking too much risk and going for too much profit, but also it'll make you very, very mindful of falling too far behind in terms of drawdown. So I think you can have a long-term plan, obviously, break it down to smaller bite-sized chunks, makes it easier to focus on short-term objectives that all add up to a long-term objective. Let's go to a daily routine for profit. And I think you need a daily routine, and it should be the same every day. It should be the same time of day, Doesn't matter what time you do your analysis, just make it consistent. And in terms of actually, how you should, do your daily routine, how long it should take, I would say it shouldn't take very long, first of all. No more than around an hour at most, in terms of analysing charts. 30 minutes is enough for most people. But what I would recommend is you study more pairs. Okay, most traders do not have the inclination to look at enough pairs. They just want to do the majors. I think that's a huge mistake. You should be looking at the crosses, some minor currencies. You're not interested in naming currency. You're just interested in the profit potential. So the more currency pairs you look at, the better. Now, I would say a good number to look at would be about 20. You look at 20 a day. I think that is a good number. And a lot of people might be thinking, well, that takes ages to look at them, and study them. My answer to that would be is if you've got a simple Forex trading strategy with an edge, it will not take you that long at all. I can do 20 charts in, well, probably easily 30 minutes, because if you've got a strategy that you're confident in, and it's got a trading edge and it's simple, you should just be able to look at the chart and decide instantly what to do. There should be no thinking involved in Forex trading. I think that's one of the big myths that you should think about chart setups. If you don't see an opportunity on the chart when you first look at it within about 30 seconds, move on to the next chart pair. I think traders who look too long at charts actually just do not have strategies they're confident in. So they need to go back and learn a strategy that they are confident in. Now, in terms of orders, you shouldn't obviously be trading short term. I've mentioned this in previous videos. You can set your orders in advance. You should be swing trading on long-term trend following. It doesn't matter which you do, but you shouldn't be entering many market orders. So when you do your daily routine, you can set your entry levels and then you update your stops each day. Do not just put a trade on, okay, and then basically leave it with the stop where it is. You need to update it each day, update the target, update the stop. Also think about whether you should even keep the trade open or whether you should shut it down. So you should review all your positions daily as well. And I also think, at the weekend, it's always good to look over the longer term charts as well. So in terms of your daily routine, you should basically make it quite quick, okay? And don't spend too much time thinking about what you're going to do. Get your orders in advance. And then I think, you don't actually have to look at prices during the day. And I think, really, you should only be looking at prices, 3 times a day. If you like looking at prices, that is plenty. And I think, many people overcomplicate Forex trading, and they overcomplicate plans as well. One of the ways they overcomplicate plans is they want to keep journals of losses. What is the point of that? It doesn't matter that you lose. If you're sticking with your strategy, you're probably expecting to lose probably around half your trades anyway. So what does a journal teach you? You will actually know if you broke your own trading rules, okay? You don't need a journal to tell you that. If you break your trading rules, then you need to think about what you're doing, okay? I think people who keep journals, maybe they do it for a comfort factor or they haven't got anything better to do. Forget it, okay? What you're interested in is if you're sticking to your strategy, it doesn't matter if you lose. Now, in terms of Forex trading, George Soros once said it's boring. And it is. It's a boring profession. Most of the time. It can be a very frustrating profession a lot of the time. And, you spend a lot of time just waiting for things to happen. And, it's in these periods that you really have to, have a high degree of mental focus, just stick with your plan. I would recommend, that you do read some motivational books, books by the great traders, books on the psychology of trading, keeping yourself, in my view, mentally sharp. And also I think it's quite motivational to read about the great traders and how they made money and how they persevered. You'll find many actually got wiped out a few times before they achieved success. And I think, you can always learn. There's plenty of great books, on successful traders, and also on psychology. And you can read some self-help books as well. Just keep that mindset focused. I also visualize your profits further down the line and what you're going to do with them. And I think, if you actually have, a passion to make money, and you've got motivation, all right, I then think it comes down to basically perseverance and sticking to your plan with discipline. And it's like I said earlier on, if you are running a Forex business, okay, it's like any other business, it's long term, okay? It takes a little while to get it moving, but once it does start moving, it can be life-changing. And keep in mind, you're only working 30 minutes to an hour a day. So I really do think a Forex trading business, when you see it as a business, has just got such massive advantages. And if you look long term, think about compound growth, stay focused in the short term, keep your eye on the long term, and persevere. You can make a lot of money. So thank you for watching this video today. Hope you enjoyed it, and take care and speak to you soon.